What's going on, everybody? VitalSyntax here, and this is my first impression reviews of the Medal of Honor Warfighter multiplayer component. I have yet to play the single player, but I've been spending the past, 6-7 hours playing some of the multiplayer, so I thought I'd give you guys my first impressions about what you're going to get with this game. So let's first talk about some of the game modes you have. You have Team Deathmatch, you have Sector Control, which is similar to Conquest or Domination, where you have different flag points you're trying to control. You have another one called Home Run, which is a mix between Capture the Flag and something like Search and Destroy from Call of Duty. The basis is that you have one life, there's two flags, and if you're attacking, your goal is to capture one of those flags and bring it back to your base. And it's round-based. And that one's really fun. It's kind of like competitive-based game mode, and that one's a little bit smaller teams. I think it's maxed out at 12 players, whereas all the other game modes are maxed out at 20. As far as guns and stuff, there's quite a good amount of guns. There's not as much as Battlefield 3, which this game obviously shares a lot in common with. But it doesn't have quite as many guns, but it has a lot more customization. You can change basically everything about your gun, from the optics. You can throw on different types of red dots and holographics, and ACOG sights, or just use different types of. There's even different options for different iron sights. You can throw out different magazines. You can do different barrels, different stocks, different muzzles. There's just like everything you can imagine you can customize about the gun. There's a ton of different skins and custom camos that you can apply, and when I say a ton, I mean a ton. There's probably over 50 different camos to choose from. So there's a lot of unlocks you can get throughout this game. On top of that, you also have 6 different classes instead of Battlefield's just 4. And really, it really isn't that similar to Battlefield, other than the way it feels and the way it looks. Aside from that, it's very, very, very different. Yes, it runs on the same game engine. Yes, it kind of has the same controls. Yes, it kind of feels similar, obviously, because it runs on the same game engine. And it even looks somewhat similar. But it has its own unique flair to it in that sense. But the most important part is the gameplay, and the gameplay is not at all like Battlefield. It's very different. It's kind of like a mix between Medal of Honor 2010, Call of Duty, and like Bad Company 2, or maybe Battlefield 3 Team Deathmatch. Something that's very infantry based. It does still have that kind of flair and unique feel that Medal of Honor 2010 had, but it has a lot more of an influence, I believe, from Call of Duty. I think with some of the changes they've made, and just in general, I mean, this is kind of, everybody always refers to it as if Battlefield 3 and Call of Duty had a baby, this would be the game, and that's probably a good description, but it definitely kind of has its own unique flair, and it's definitely influenced and feels a lot like Medal of Honor 2010. Not necessarily in a bad way. I know that game definitely had some issues, and this game definitely has some issues as well, so let's just go ahead and jump into those. The first one for me is the menus. The menus can be fixed, I believe, but right now they are very bad. Especially, I don't think they're actually that bad on the consoles, but on the PC side of things, they're pretty bad. There's lots of glitches, there's lots of bugs, there's lots of crashes. Sometimes you can't, sometimes it doesn't save your customization that you do to weapons. And really what it comes down to is they designed the user interface for consoles. I mean, you can tell instantly because there's, joystick controllable customization. You can see it wasn't really designed with a keyboard and mouse in mind. Now it's usable most of the time. Sometimes it will actually crash and you can't click on things. You have to restart the game, which is kind of frustrating. So it is kind of buggy. I don't know if that's just on the PC side of things. I've heard that at least with the beta there were some issues with the menu, especially with load times and things like that. The PC side of things, the load times are fine. But the menu is definitely something that needs a lot of work, especially on the PC side of things. I don't know if that means completely scrapping what they have and redoing it, or if that means just modifying it and giving the PC and keyboard, or the mouse and keyboard, a little bit more support. But right now it's usable, but it's very weird and kind of frustrating at times. And also the worst part is that sometimes it won't just save your customization. You have to redo all those, but I think that can probably be fixed. That's probably just a bug they can figure out. Let's talk about the maps. So I believe there's 8 maps that come with the game. I think there's 2 more that are coming with the Zero Dark 30 map pack. which is really stupid that they already have a map pack. That should just the maps that are included with that map pack should really just be coming with the game. It's kind of stupid that they aren't, but regardless, if you do pre-order the game, you get the map pack for free. Otherwise, you're gonna pay $10, which is a rip off. For 2 maps, you're paying $5 a piece. But let's talk about the maps that we have here. So, I'm not going to talk about specifics of the maps because, to be honest, I don't know all the names and whatnot. But in general, I think that the maps need work. There are some really good maps. There are some maps that I really like, and then there were probably 2 or 3 that I really don't like. And once again, I don't know the names, but for if you have played it or if you get a chance to play it, you'll probably recognize one of the maps. It's a jungle type of environment. I know there's a couple ones, but you probably know the one I'm talking about, and it's very, very clusterfucky. And I don't know if that's just the PC side of things because it has 20 players, which is, I think, a higher player count than the consoles have. But that map is just too tight, and the spawns are especially what end up being a problem. And I think the 2 issues I have with the map design are, number 1, the spawns, and number 2, the amount of cover that really causes a lot of camping and head glitching depending on the map. So some of the, well, let's first talk about the spawn issues. There has been a lot of times where me or my friends that we've been playing with literally spawn like in front of an enemy or behind an enemy or in front of like 4 enemies. So the spawns are still very weird. They are better than they were in the beta. I know they did a patch day 1 to address that issue. They're still kind of broken, although they're definitely usable right now. So hopefully they can figure some more of that stuff out. And to be honest, I think part of it is that the player count is a little too high. 20 people on some of the maps. Some of the maps are nice and big. Some of the maps are too small. And this is definitely not one of the maps that's too small, but I'll probably, point it out when I do gameplay on some of the maps that I think were just a little bit too much of a clusterfuck. As in there's too many people per square foot, basically. As far as gun balance goes, which is another huge component of first-person shooters, there are some clear winners. The AUG I'm using here is absolutely amazing. And there's actually, well, it just seems like there's a couple guns that stand out above the other ones. It doesn't really mean that they're overpowered, but that there's a couple that are underpowered. So it seems like the majority of guns are balanced, but there's a couple of them that need a little bit of a buff. Once again, I don't know the names of all the guns yet, so I won't get into specifics. Maybe I'll do a video more detailed about that. And another thing I want to talk about is grenades. Lots and lots of grenades. I believe the grenades need a slight nerf. Right now they are a very large blast radius, basically instantly explode. You don't have a timer to run away or anything like that. And they're very deadly, do lots of damage. So, okay, so anyway, that's just kind of a bunch of information about the full released game. Kind of my first impressions. Overall, I am having fun with it. And if I was to rate the multiplayer component as it is right now, regardless of the single player, which I'll probably do, a first impression review and maybe a comprehensive review once I've played it, which I'm planning to do either tonight or tomorrow night. It's already like 3 in the morning, so I probably should go to bed, but I really want to play it. But as far as giving a rating, I would probably give Medal of Honor's multiplayer an 8, maybe a 7, 7.8, maybe like a 78% or an 80%. So not horrible, not amazing. I do think that it should be kind of on your wish list, maybe. Personally, it doesn't beat out Battlefield 3 for me, but it is very different, so it kind of fits a different niche. But anyway, those are just my opinions. Feel free to give me your opinions down below, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.